Bert Oliva's Mastermind Circle.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bert Oliva. No, I'm not. Anyway, so Bert Oliva has decided that he was going to stay on vacation today. So somebody had to take care of you guys. So we're here. Valerie's going to be joining us tonight. We're going to have a cool discussion tonight. We also have our guest speaker who's coming up. But before we get started, we're going to do our intro. So hit it, Miss Valerie.
Bert Oliva is an international orator. He speaks around the world about his experiences and teaches humanology, the scientific study of human potential. He has enchanted audiences all over the world, showing them the power of mind over matter.
He's one of the most talented speakers out here, and I highly recommend him to any type of.
The more prepared you are, the luckier you'll be.
He is the world-renowned authority on leadership and human behavior.
Mr. Bert Oliva.
Bert Oliva!
He's considered the voice of inspiration and motivation. Today, he'll pass his knowledge on to all of us.
For over 2 decades, Bert Oliva has touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Bert has a dedicated social media following and an impressive online influence few possess, enabling him to communicate with audiences he has touched near and far.
I think he's one of the greatest motivators out there.
The thing I love about Bert is he's on stage and he gives his heart every single time.
He has developed many programs, recorded audio CDs, and written books, all of which to help those ranging from individuals to corporate and Fortune 500 companies. He has dedicated his life to speaking all over the globe and met some of the most influential and powerful people in the world.
Okay, let's go.
He has also coached highly successful business executives and politicians.
Normally seen as impossible.
I believe that I did it.
An infectious motivator.
So get ready to learn tools that will help you tap into your potential.
Pay attention, this is real stuff.
Get ready to have an experience you won't soon forget. Please help me welcome Bert Oliva.
So, what I wanted to do is let Valerie and Alexa run the show today. And actually, it's going to be an all-woman panel. So not only will it be Alexa and Valerie, even our guest speaker for today is a woman. So I hope you guys are ready. If you guys are there paying attention, raise your hands. I want to make sure you guys are with me.
What we have is we have a 5-minute speaker that is going to come in today and share 5 minutes. We don't have the ding here with us today, but we'll ding them at 1 minute to go. And what they're going to do, our guest speaker tonight is Elia, and she'll introduce herself. She'll have 5 minutes to take us through a story that's going to teach us something, what she went through, and then what was the experience that she actually lived and how she, what was the end result. So everybody has a story, and tonight is Elia's story. So is she on already? Hi, Elia. Thank you. Welcome. So you know the rules. It's 5 minutes. You're going to be sharing your story, the lesson, and the experience that you went through and what happened in the end. So at 1 minute, we will let you know that there's 1 minute left. I hope I don't interrupt you in the middle of your story and throws you off. But go ahead, Elia. The floor is yours.
Hi, guys. My name is Elia Cristina Garcia, and I am from Miami, Florida. I came here from Honduras in 1978. And shortly after, I grew up here, went to school with my sister, and a couple years afterwards, I had this problem that I would lose my balance. I would lose my balance constantly, and I didn't understand why that was. And I had a neurologist, and I spoke to her, and I told her, what was going on. A couple years afterwards, and she told me, well, we're going to do an MRI. We're going to see what's going on, and we'll let you know. So they did the MRI. They called me up, and to see this lady, it takes about almost 6 months for me to see her. Shortly afterwards, they called me up, said I needed to do the test again, but they didn't explain to me why I needed to do the test again. So I decided, all right, let me go ahead and do the test. They did the test. A week later, they told me that I needed to go see her, that they had found something that was troubling her. you know, I laid in bed and I'm like, why me? You know, I've never done anything to no one. Why does this happen to me? Yeah. Thank you. So she told me that it was a tumor, but she also told me that it was on the right hand side. Excuse me, let me see. It was to the left hand side of my cerebellum, and that's why I kept on losing my balance. I told her it's not to the left, it's to the right. And she goes, well, how do you know this? Did you do a test already? I said, no, I haven't done the test, but I'm the one with the pain. I know exactly where it's at. It was affecting my speech. It was affecting my movement and also my balance. She told me you're going to have to see a neurosurgeon and to see what you're going to do. So I went to see the neurosurgeon. The neurosurgeon told me that it was impossible for me to have a surgery. He goes, where it's located, it's impossible for you to have a surgery. He also told me that I was going to have to live on pain meds for the rest of my life. And shortly, like maybe about 3-4 years afterwards, I had an automobile accident. After the automobile accident, I went to the hospital and I explained to the doctor, you know, what was going on. You know, I had a car accident and my whole right side was hurting. I went there because I couldn't handle the pain anymore. I couldn't take the pain anymore. And was I about to give up when they told me that I had a tumor? Yeah, I was like, you know, why? Why me? You know, and I constantly kept on asking God, why? Why? What have I done to anyone? I've never done anything wrong to anyone, you know? And yes, I was about to give up. I was like, what's the easy way out of this? Do I do the surgery or don't I do the surgery? They told me that if I did the surgery, I was going to be paralyzed on my right hand side. So the day that I went to the hospital, they did an MRI. They looked for the tumor, and the doctor told me, you know what, we can't find nothing. There is no tumor. There is nothing. It's not there anymore. So it showed me that not to give up and not to think positive, that not to give up on stuff, no matter how hard it is.
1 minute, keep going.
Keep going?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I went to different places. I went to my church and I told the pastor, I spoke to the pastor, and he told me, can you speak to everybody and tell them what happened to you? You know, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do that. I was shy, scared to tell anybody, you know, what had happened to me. But that changed after a while with you guys. I noticed that down the line, and people had noticed too that I have changed. And do I still have migraines? I do have migraines, but never like I had the first time.
Thank you for sharing your story. I mean,
You're welcome.
You know, that's something really serious that happened to you, and I appreciate you getting the nerve, since you were shy in the past, but thank goodness that you've overcome that. And you were addressing something that was really important, and you had something that was not so noticeable of somebody losing their balance. And I think that it's important for people to understand balance. And I think that's one of the best things that Bert teaches, is for people to find balance in their lives. And right now, believe it or not, us, Valerie and myself being here, is us trying to push ourselves and find more balance within our lives so that we can be a more supportive team for Bert when he needs. It's not that he needed a break or anything, but he likes to challenge us. So that's why we're here. We're here to be challenged and not ask why me. It's every time that something happens in your life and you do get that question of why me, because I haven't done anything, or why me because, you know, I've been doing good in my life, or I've been pushing in my life. There's always a reason. I think your reason in the end was you helped other people through your challenges, and you continue to help other people even tonight by sharing such an important story and how you got through it.
You know, I didn't notice myself. It wasn't like something I noticed. there was other people telling me, you've changed. And I'm like, I've changed? Like, in what way? Well, you know, I will ask them, and they're like, no, you're talking more, you know, you're hanging out with us a little bit more, and I wasn't closed up and shut to the world.
That's awesome. Now, I want everybody that's in the room listening tonight to figure out something that you want to ask Elia later on after we go through the lesson, because I think that's really important, especially the way she brought up her story. I think it's really important that we ask more questions and explore how somebody can overcome those challenges that she overcame. So tonight, Valerie and I wanted to give you guys a treat. Elia, thank you, and we'll come back to you later.
Okay.
We wanted to talk about something that is always on the mind of the BOWA girls, and that's how to dress appropriately for the different occasions and the different things, and just how to have those conversations when you're in different environments and how you're supposed to behave, because a lot of times we're like, well, you know, should have I said that? Should I not said that? And it's kind of something that I believe happens to us all. We're going to a party, we're going to a meeting, we're going somewhere that we haven't been to before, and we get challenged by these things. So Valerie and I kind of wanted to bring that up tonight. And one of those things was how to dress appropriately for the different scenarios. I feel that a lot of times, because Bert wanted kind of like a girl topic tonight, and we're like, no, I don't know about girl, because I think that we both, as women and men, we experience this when we go to different places. So for women, I find that we have that challenge a little bit more, or I observe it a little bit more in women, that maybe they have a little lack of self-confidence. So they feel that they need to be extra sexy by showing their cleavage or showing their legs, or, you know, doing something like that. What do you think, Val?
I still consider myself kind of a girl in training a lot. When I first started at BOWA, I had no idea how to dress. I was all about comfort over anything. And Alex kind of took me under her wing and started showing me, you know, how to dress appropriately, when you should wear more makeup, when you should wear jewelry, and things like that. And so it's one of those things that it's a tough thing for me, and I'm never going to give up my flip-flops completely, but, you know, there's a time and a place when to wear them. Obviously, if you're at home and you're comfortable, the beach, of course, I have to admit I wore them today out while we were walking around Indianapolis, because I was wearing heels earlier and my feet were killing me in the afternoon, but I think I was breaking a rule there. But for the most part, really, it's a no-no pretty much everywhere, even in Miami when it's, you know, sandal weather.
If you're going to a business meeting, the rule of thumb is that for women, you should never wear open-toe shoes if that's a corporate meeting. And a lot of people are like, well, you know, I don't have to worry about these things. But if you're in an environment like the Mastermind, you're probably a person that wants to grow and wants to have success in their lives. And in order for you to have success, there are rules. Unfortunately, there are rules for success, and you have to follow them. And dressing is definitely one of these rules that we have to follow. The men are not excluded from this. They always think, you know, oh, I could just throw on a pair of pants and a shirt and, you know, and I'm good. No. You need to make sure, you know, men have to wear undershirts underneath their dress shirts, because if not, they got all those stains happening under their arms or in their chest, and that definitely does not look appropriate. And women, you know, if you're going to a business meeting, hide the cleavage. Hide the cleavage, hide the toenails. You don't need to see them. Don't wear excessive amounts of makeup or excessive amounts of jewelry that are inappropriate for the time. And be careful with the nails, especially in a business environment. You don't want those, you know, woo, wham, nails that are questionable. It's not appropriate. I mean, if you want success in your life, you need to attract people that are successful. And people that are successful have a certain rule. You're not going to go in there if you are not appropriate and to their liking. You're going to turn somebody off. So you always want to stay between those lines that are not going to turn somebody off. Also, you know, if maybe you're wearing too much cologne or a particular smell that just is not appealing to everybody, you want to stay within those lines. You know, yes, you want something that's comfortable for you, but you have to pay attention to other people. People are always like, well, I don't care what other people think. And I find that a lot of single people say this, and married people. So it doesn't matter. If you're single and you say, I don't care what people think. Well, if you want to attract a partner, you know, or the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever your preference is, how are you going to do that if you don't care? And if you're married and you say, well, I'm married, so I don't care. But what are you saying? You don't care about your spouse or your partner? you gotta care. You want to look good for your spouse and your partner. You want to look good for yourself. Dye your hair, fix your nails, wear makeup if you're a girl. And then it's like, oh, I don't need to worry about those things if I'm a man. Yes, you do. There's male grooming. There's male, a cover up for the sun or a sunblock when you go out so you avoid the wrinkles. And if you have a beard, there's all kinds of, oh my God, is there a lot of things for beards? The oils and the brushes and the special shavers and the trimmers. And then for your hair, it needs to smell good and look good and just be well kept and trimmed if it's short in the back. So there's a lot of things, watch your collars, make sure that there's not like those ring around the collar things. There's so many rules for dressing and just making sure that you are appropriate. Make sure your shoes are shined, guys. And ladies, your purses, if they're all torn up and zippers and things like that, you got to pay attention to those things.
We had a discussion one time about a wife beater, which is really an undershirt. The term wife beater came off of something in the internet and, out of a movie and whatever the case is. However, there's a time and place for everything. The thing is, because of social media and you have this camera in front of you, you get so comfortable and used to it that a lot of times you just, dress a certain way, but you want more success out of your life. The question is, what type of success do you want? And if you're already having that success and everything is great for you, then that's it. Don't even worry about it. But for the most part, even when you get to a certain level of success, you still have to take care of yourself. Success leaves clues. So does failure. I had to come in here and, because a lot of guys will go ahead and say, well, I'm older now. It doesn't really matter. Like Alex was saying, I have my significant other. I'm happy. Everything has a reason why it is you wear it. An undershirt is meant to be worn under your shirt to pick up the perspiration so it doesn't come out on your shirt and people won't see you all, full of sweat or perspire, whatever you want to call it. The end of the day is, every little bit that you do for yourself, whether you trim your beard or you use Just for Men or, the sharper you look at any given time, you're getting closer to success. Even when you're walking down to your mailbox, wherever it is that you're going, sometimes you're like, well, I'm not going that far. It just takes that one moment to meet the person that can change your life. What they saw at that precise moment is you dress like that. So these are like not major things. They're very small, but they're so important.
The one thing that I've really noticed for me personally, because I never used to really care about how I looked at all. I never worried about it. I always had really low self-esteem and was like, you know what? I don't like how I look, so why am I even going to bother working on me? But one of the things that I've noticed is when I take the time to put a little bit of extra makeup on or do my hair or wear something that I like, it makes me feel better. And when I feel better about me, it comes through with everything that I do. Even, when we're making phone calls in the office, just the fact that I feel good about me, that energy goes through the phone and people pick up on it. So I know that if I'm feeling down, I'll take even extra time to make sure that I look good. And when I'm not looking good, the team will even be like, hey, go take care of yourself for a few minutes, and it works.
Another thing that happens is that a lot of people are like, well, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to look good or what things that I want. And that's not the case, because a lot of times, even the women, they're like, they'll spend $30 to $50 in the salon every 2 weeks to, do their nails or whatever. You know what? Do your nails at home yourself that week and go to TJ Maxx, in the racks, they got good sales, or go to Macy's. I mean, in Macy's, you can get a really great designer shirt for like $10 off the sales rack. Or shop around in Marshall or even Target's got some good stuff every now and then. I'm not a big fan of the Walmart clothing, I have to be honest. But Target has a little better quality clothing there. But it doesn't take a lot. A lot of times nowadays, even in Miami, they're popping up like Play-Dohs, which is like, buy, sell, and trade clothes or whatever. And a lot of times in the better neighborhoods, when you go to like even a Goodwill store, they'll have really great designer stuff. And you got to go in there and look at it. And you're paying what? $5 for a shirt that probably was $150. I've seen stuff in there from Saks Fifth Avenue, and even really high-end designer stuff in the Goodwills. I shop everywhere. So it's just a matter. And, another thing that's really helped a lot is that I like to look at those, like the OK and the People magazine, and see what they're wearing. And a lot of times you can get the same stuff that they're wearing in those magazines really inexpensive in some of those stores that I was just mentioning. So I thought that was something, you know, Val and I, it's a kind of a topic of conversation for us all the time, because I'm the avid shopper, and I love the sales racks. I love the sales racks. The other thing that we wanted to talk about today is the behavior when you're going to these places. A lot of times you're going to a function, whether it's a wedding or you know, a business network or a business function, doesn't matter. And they're serving drinks. Wow, this is a huge mistake to overdrink in these places. You're going to embarrass yourself. If it's a company function, you know, you could jeopardize your job. And you just want to be, you just want to make sure that you don't do anything that you weren't, because you have that social lubricant. And you know, you got to be careful. And a lot of times people are like, well, you know, I don't drink. If you take any kind of prescription medication and you over medicate, then sometimes I've seen people act very ridiculous in these functions because they're over medicated. If you're going to medicate, stay home. Stay home, you know, save yourself and other people the embarrassment. A lot of women want to be treated like a lady. And it was funny, though, because yesterday I happened to go run an errand with my brother. And when we were actually walking into the store, I stood in front of the door and my brother looks at me, and I said, I've been trained. And he's like, okay. So then he walked up and opened the door for me. And that's one of the things that if you want to be treated like a lady, you have to act like a lady. You know, if one of the things that Bert used to always tell me, if you want me to treat you like a lady, then you need to let me treat you like a lady. Stand in front of the door and wait for me to, you know, if you're ahead of me, and wait for me so that I can open the door for you. So the more we practice this, the more I'm used to it, the more I do it to every single man that I'm around. I will wait in front of the door and wait for the man to open the door. And trust me, they get it. So you have to act like a lady. And for those men that want to be treated like a man, act like a man. Open the doors for the women. You know, a lot of times I feel that this is a lost art. You know, that chivalry in men and acting like gentlemen and acting like ladies is completely lost. Another thing, that when you're in a public place, be careful how you sit. You know, you have to make sure, if you're a lady, cross your legs. If you're a man, you know, just, you can't slouch. And there's so many, you know, social rules that you have to follow. And of course, if you're already successful and you're already at that level where you don't care to grow anymore, fine. Don't listen to another word that we have to say. But if you want success, there's rules. You know, if you want to be invited to the cool places, there's rules. If you want to have that business and have your business grow, and you want to rub elbows with the CEOs and you know, the presidents and you know, politicians and people like that, they're not going to invite you if you're not dressed appropriately, if you're not acting appropriately, and if you're not having the right conversations, which is our next topic. Conversations, Val, all yours.
They always talk about how you're not supposed to talk about religion and politics. I really fully agree with that when you're out and you're somewhere with people that you don't really know, get to know people. One of my favorite tips that I learned from Bert is, you know, you can always play dumb a little bit and just be like, oh no, I'm not really sure what that is. Can you explain it more? People love to feel like an expert. So as long as you know a little bit about something, you can at least have a conversation and make people feel comfortable.
Our conversation, something else that's very important when you're having a conversation, especially in a social function, is number one, you have to be careful about your breath. If you're a person that tends to have bad breath, please monitor your breath, because that will turn somebody off completely. I've been to places where I know that this person knows they have bad breath, and I'm looking at the walls, I'm looking at the clock, I would just want to run. And just got to be careful with bad breath as well. When you're also having the conversations, pay attention to the body language of people. If they're looking at their watch, if they're looking away, they're not interested in what you have to say. Don't try to sell them on an idea that you could just look at them. If they're not fully engaged eye to eye with you, they're just not interested. Trust me. So stop. pay attention. And I that's very frustrating for me when somebody's in front of me and they're just trying to shove their ideas down their throat or sell me something right there on the spot. When you're building a relationship with somebody and you're having a conversation, it needs to go, both ways, not just one way. And it drives people insane that way. Have you ever experienced that, Val?
I have a lot of trouble extracting myself from conversation. So I have been stuck in a corner talking to somebody that I didn't want to talk to for a very long time until Alex or Bert or somebody will see me and they'll come and rescue me. So I still have yet to learn the skill of extracting myself from a bad conversation.
But just feel free, just hold up your hand and say, oh my gosh, that was so awesome, but I have to go, or, get their phone number right away. I just, give me your phone number or get their information and we'll continue this conversation, but I really got to go. So I probably could use a little more tactfulness in the extraction myself sometimes, because I can really get frustrated with people when they're boring me to death. There's something's wrong in this conversation, or I gotta go. There's a family waiting for me at home, for sure, a very large family.
And one thing I wanted to say while we're waiting for Aaliyah and everybody to come in and the questions to come in is the other thing besides learning how to extract yourself from a conversation, which is hard. The one thing that I think I've kind of learned now, thanks to Alex, is how to get yourself into a conversation. So if you see somebody interesting that you want to talk to, one of my favorite things to do now is to go in and compliment them on something, on either what they're like, their shoes, or just something interesting. And that one I learned from Alex, and it's useful.
A real compliment.
Right, obviously a real compliment, not something just fake. People can tell fake versus real.
And I guess that's the Colombian in me. We tend to be very flirtatious with people, whether it's a man or a woman. And if you like something, I always make sure to point it out. And you know what? That never helps to smile at somebody or tell them if they're wearing a pretty ring or if they have their hair nice. And women love women compliments, by the way, more than men compliments. We love women compliments. So, sometimes we were in a store today and the lady was just not having a good day, and you can tell. So we just smiled at her and told her we were from Miami and we're here, and, just started up a conversation with her. And before you knew it, but when we walked away, she had a big old smile on her face. So give somebody a smile. Make it, you know what? I challenge you guys. Tomorrow, just make sure that you make one person smile. Just one person, and you're going to feel better about it. Elia, you're back with us. Yay, I could see you. I think I mentioned it, but I want to double mention it, is that magazines are a great way to kind of study and cut out and rip out some of the better styles and things that you think, and be appropriate body type. I wish I could wear a 4-piece, a size 4, but I'm realistic about my body weight and my body features. So make sure that you rip out something that's realistic for you. Hey, Chris, thank you for coming. And before you get started, please say your name and what city before you ask your question. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I am from Paducah, Kentucky. And this question is for Miss Alexa and Miss Val. I noticed that y'all was talking about dressing and grooming. So what makes you feel important and make you feel better when you do your dressing and grooming?
For me personally, if I'm wearing my jewelry, my makeup, and I've done my hair, I could be wearing the worst of things, and it makes me feel fantastic. It's funny you ask that, because this morning I was still not dressed, and I put on my hair and my makeup and my jewelry, and right away I felt fantastic. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm just going to finish putting on the rest of my outfit today. But getting dressed up, whether you're a man or a woman, when you groom yourself, it makes you feel good. Yeah. It really makes you feel good about yourself.
I know me, myself, I love to dress up myself because it makes me feel better as a person, and it makes me distinguish myself as a good person.
That's very true. That's very true.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you so much for your question, Chris. So one of the things that you were asking, why me, when those things were happening to you before, and a lot of people, and I've caught myself doing the why me. Oh God, why me? Why am I going through this? And I discovered that why me always makes me grow. That why me if you really think about it and you really have the conversation with yourself, you're like, you know what? When I learned that every why me has a lesson, it really changed my life. Because I was like, oh, okay, there's something here in this experience. And I would look around, I'm like, there's something here I'm missing. There's something here that I got to learn from this, that I had to ask, why me, God? And once I realized that in everything there's a lesson, good or bad, doesn't matter. There's always a lesson in everything that you do. The why me started slowing down a little bit. And now I just accept the good, the bad, and the ugly that happens in my life all the time. So I just wanted to
basically that's what I had to do. I had to do that. I was laying in bed and, you know, I kept on asking why? And I was like, oh my God, like, why am I questioning what he's doing? You know, I know he has a purpose in whatever he was doing to me. And I was just going to accept that. I said, you know what, I'll accept it. Whatever it is, I'll accept it with open arms.
I believe in exactly what you're saying, in accepting whatever happens in your life. But I'm also, because of that part where you lose that balance, and that Bert has always, you know, instilled in our family that whenever you're being challenged like that in your life, that you really need to take action. So that why me that you accept doesn't mean that you accept and sit on your butt. That means that you accept and you come up with a plan that's going to take you to where you want to go in your life. Because you just cannot sit down and, okay, this is the hand that I've been given. Now I'm going to wait for somebody to knock on the door, because that's not going to happen. Let's be realistic. When you want something to change in your life, you just cannot sit and wait. You need to take life by the horns and do something. And that's something that Bert has definitely taught us, our team and our family, that you got to do. So congratulations on taking the challenges, the many challenges, Elia, that I know that you have experienced the last couple of years that you've been a part of the group and the I Am BOWA people. I Am BOWA means that you are part of a community, and we care about each other and we try to help each other. And we hope that people reach out to each other. And that's what this is about. Elia, you have a strong message and something very strong that happened to you in your life. So if anybody else here is experiencing a major challenge like that, I mean, what you went through was serious stuff, then I hope that you would be open to receiving some of our members and having, private conversations with them and helping them through their challenges in their life, because you did it, Elia.
I'm up for the challenge.
Well, you said, I'm not going to give up and I'm going to stay positive. And that's really hard when life is whacking you over the head with some serious stuff, man. Let's be realistic here.
You know, it was a hard time. And I just decided, right, you know, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep on doing, because it's not only that, I also suffer from epilepsy. And I had my first seizure when I was in 92, 93, and it hasn't stopped me. It hasn't slowed me down. You know, I still take my medication, and it doesn't define me. My sickness does not define who I am.
We have a question, but it's an anonymous question right now.
How do you raise self-esteem?
How do you raise self-esteem? Great topic. I was just about to talk about it right now. And self-esteem is definitely something that I've had a challenge with. For Elia, the question was for Elia? Oh, they weren't specific? So how do you raise your self-esteem, Elia?
I could say it's very hard, especially when you have people around you who constantly put you down. You know, saying, all right, you don't know how to do this, or you didn't do this right. I noticed, you know, when I do something, I do it for myself. I don't do it to try to please anybody else. And, you know, I noticed that. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this for this person. I'm going to do it for myself. And I please myself, not other people anymore.
Well, I've had a challenge my entire life, that I have always been heavy set, and got to the point a couple years in my life where I was on the road to morbidly obese. And so, you know, you limit yourself with a lot of things. I mean, I got to a point in my life where I'm married to Bert Oliva. This guy, you know, he's He's somebody. You know, he meets with all these important people all the time. And here I was, and I felt like the horrible, ugly wife in the background. I was embarrassed to go anywhere with him. I didn't do my hair. I didn't do my makeup. I couldn't dress right. I didn't fit in anything. And it's just, I was an embarrassment to him and an embarrassment to my family and an embarrassment to myself. And one of the things that he has, every time that I go through something challenging like that in my life, Bert always looks at me and he says, you have to do something for yourself. Pon de tu parte, he would always tell me in Spanish. You got to put your part into your own life. And for some reason, you forget this in your life. And then I just, every day, just did a little bit more. I woke up just 10 minutes earlier, and then it was 15 minutes earlier, and, until finally I was able to wake up an hour earlier. And then I was like, I really want to make changes in my life. Like, I really wanted it deep down inside. And I started little by little making those changes. It's an effort to put on makeup. It's an effort to do your hair. It's an effort to wear the heels. It's an effort. So little bit by little bit. And we have a question. We have a live question? Yay! We have a live question. All right, so let's see who's coming in for a live question.
My name is Shireen from Belize. My question, when it comes to, for everyone, even Elia, when it comes to challenges, and you stop the why, how do you move? What would you consider some tips or some help as to how do you move on, knowing, okay, these are lessons, and how do you move on with the negativity? There's always the negativity. I am limited to a lot of people who would be a positive impact in your life at the time you're going through something. How would you say are tips or something to help you while you're going through and moving on to be more positive while going through the whole thing?
It was very hard. It was very hard for me because I didn't know at the time if, the tumor was malignant or if it wasn't. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is my age. I haven't met anyone that I could say, all right, this is the person that I'm in love with. I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about other people while I was suffering with this, because I was like, oh my God, if I die, I'm gonna leave my mom. Who's gonna take care of my mom? Who's gonna be there for my mom? And I decided, you know what? I'll just accept it and continue with my life. If it is malignant or if it's not, I'm just gonna, just deal with it and keep on moving. And yes, I did have a lot of family members who were there for me, telling me, you're going to be all right. This is something that it's a test. But, I didn't understand it, but I did accept that I continued with my life. And I just saw the positive things, because a lot of people, a lot of family members that I hadn't spoken to in so many years got in touch with me, either through Facebook. They called me up, and I saw the positive sides.
And that is good, because I've seen a lot of people who have gone through something similar, and they turn, they turn completely negative, like they turn the why into like, how dare you, so it's like a negative reaction instead of a positive reaction. And then when the relatives are coming to them, they're like completely pushing everyone out of their lives. So I think sometimes it's just, you are blessed to know the why and to move on. And I'm happy that you're here to share it with us.
Definitely great advice, Elia. Thank you so much. And Shireen, yeah, definitely you have to, those negative people, your family, there's nothing that you could do about that, but limit your time with them when they're in their spot. Offer your hand, and then just let them realize that, right now it's not something that you can listen to for them right now. Love your family, but choose your friends. And that's one thing I always try to, whenever I'm feeling down or I'm feeling too much of the negative pressure from one area or another, I grab whatever is positive, or I find positive things to inject into my life. Whether it's making a phone call to somebody that makes me feel better, or picking up a book or listening to music or going for a walk, doing something that I know that is going to change my state and that is going to make me feel positive when I'm infected with all this negativity. And especially, we get challenged, because you guys are in motivation, and we're not. We're not in motivation. We can't motivate people. We only share things that we've experienced in our life and what helped us get out of those things. So we teach people tools that they can use in their lives, but we don't motivate anybody. Motivation is within yourself. So thank you so much, Shireen, for your question. Do we have another question, Val? We have another anonymous question. So let's hear it.
How do you beat peer pressure and make your own voice?
How do you beat? That one's all yours, Val.
Since I had such low self-esteem for so long, I didn't like my own voice, so I always pushed it deep down inside of me and always listened to everybody else and all of the negativity all around me. And, I had a really negative childhood, and I believed those voices for a very long time. So it took a long time, especially coaching with Bert, to find my own voice. And the way that I found my voice, truthfully, is journaling. And when I go back and read it, little by little, my true voice shone through.
And to find your own inner voice, Valerie has what she shared right now is excellent journaling. You have to find out what you like, and you need to have those conversations with yourself. I love to write things. And so does Valerie. So she'll journal everything on there, and I like to do lists. What are the good things in my life and what are the bad things in my life? And, what are ideas to fix these things? I'm a strategist by trade. So I like to strategize my own life. If I want this goal here, what is it going to take and how many steps is it going to take for me to get to this goal? When you put the pen to the paper, it makes magic. And it really puts it on this plane. In other words, it makes it real when you're writing things down. And again, in one of the last masterminds I shared where people are like, I got it up here, and I've heard that a million times. That doesn't make it real. That just makes it in your head. When you put pen to the paper, it makes it real. So if we have no more questions right now, we're good? All right, awesome. So thank you so much for joining us in this mastermind. I hope that you guys enjoyed it and you learned anything. And if you want to reach out to us for any extra information on here, or even if you want some more tips, reach out to us on the social media. You guys have access to us. If you want us to look at an outfit because it's an important date, or a network business function or whatever, we don't mind looking at that. So reach out to me on my Facebook, inbox me. And you can reach us through the Facebook group if you're a member. So I want you guys to know that. Again, next week, we hope to have a special interview for you guys. We're working on it right now. And everybody that has any additional questions, we will open and be attentive to the Facebook group right now. Next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our next mastermind. And please invite people. We got a couple of scholarships. If you want to reach out to Belinda or to Valerie, we've got a couple of extra scholarships for next week. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from a famous person that I know, which is live life and don't let life live you. And we will see you next week.
Register online and join us today for all new live interviews and weekly topics only at themastermindcircle.com.